Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day number 30, almost done, of 31 days of tutorials. My name as usual is Ryan Hafey with Hafey Digital, and in this video we're talking all about white balance for video. And while this video will be video centric, a lot of these techniques also apply to photography, so if you're a photographer, feel free to keep watching. And real quickly, for the uninitiated, what is white balance? Well, white balance basically refers to color balance. Setting your white balance properly will basically ensure that you are achieving the most accurate colors in your video. And with that out of the way, the first step to achieving proper white balance is to get it right in camera, or at least get it as right as possible. Most cameras these days will offer you a number of white balance presets depending on your lighting situation. So for example, there's a daylight white balance preset, there's one for tungsten lighting, incandescent lighting, cloudy days. So the easiest way to set your white balance is really just to pick one of those that matches your lighting situation. However, if none of those presets work for you, you can always manually set the Kelvin value that's indicated by the little K symbol in your white balance options. Turning the Kelvin value up will result in a more warm image, and turning your Kelvin value down will result in a cooler image, so it'll look more on the blue side. Now you may be tempted to use the auto white balance setting on your camera, but I would recommend against that, mainly because your camera's white balance may change as you're filming. So depending on where you're pointing the camera, or depending on how the lighting changes, all of those things can affect the white balance as you're filming, and changes in white balance while filming can be difficult to fix in editing. Now you could also use your camera's built-in custom white balance options, but it can take some time and it's not always super reliable, so I would just suggest getting as close as you can with one of those presets or by setting the Kelvin value. The next thing you want to do is capture footage that will make it easier for you to tweak your white balance in post. For example, you could use a white balance card, something like this, and all you would need to do is place it into your scene in frame and make sure that it's exposed to the same light that is lighting the rest of your scene. Then you can use that clip as a reference when you're doing your editing, and I'll show you how to do that in just a little bit. But if you don't have a white balance card like this, you can always film a white or gray wall, and that can usually get you pretty close to proper white balance in editing. Or you could just have me stand in frame with this shirt on, because it's also, this shirt is technically a white balance card, I guess. And finally, the last step to achieving perfect white balance is to adjust and tweak your white balance in post. Now, as you all know by now, I'm an Adobe guy, so I use Premiere Pro, and Premiere comes loaded with the Lumetri Color effect, which offers a number of different color correction and color grading options, including a white balance picker. And to use it, all you need to do is activate it and then select a neutral color in your scene. You want to look for a white or light gray scene, or if you use that white balance card, you just want to click on the gray in the white balance card in the footage. And once you do that, you'll notice that the colors might change a little bit, and hopefully they'll be more accurate and natural looking. But I will say that the white balance picker can be a little finicky and unreliable at times, so in those cases you can also use Lumetri Scopes. Personally, I like to use the Parade RGB Lumetri Scope, which separates the red, green, and blue channels. And the trick here is to get those channels to match up. So if you see that the blue channel is spiking and the red channel is way below that, you would want to warm up your image to bring down the cool tones and bring up the warm tones so that everything kind of evens out. The waveform RGB Lumetri Scope is also another way to visualize that. And you can also use the Vector Scope YUV, and the trick there is just to make sure that the colors sort of centralize around the center point of that Lumetri Scope. And if you follow all those steps all the way through, you should now have perfect white balance. And it's important to note here that the purpose of setting your white balance is to achieve the most accurate and natural colors in your footage. But there also may be times when you don't want to do that. You may want your scene to look a little bit warmer or a little bit cooler than what looks natural. But even in those cases, I know for me personally, I like to shoot with the most natural looking white balance and then make any creative tone adjustments in post, either using split toning or by adjusting the white balance during editing. And there you go, that is how you achieve perfect white balance for your videos. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, leave a like on this video, share it with a friend if you feel so inclined, and come back and see us tomorrow for the final day of 31 days of tutorials. Day number 31. We'll see you then. Bye.